And one day, Loretta Swit and Harry Morgan, Jamie Farr and Bill Christopher, who played Father Mulcahy, and a member of the crew and I were having lunch during the lunch break at the studio. And we had just about finished our meal, and a group of waiters came sweeping up to the table in this very dramatic show and placed in front of us, each of us, a very elaborate dessert that was new to the menu, and said, "Compliments of Sir Richard Attenborough." Well, for those of you who don't know the name, Sir Richard Attenborough was a famous British actor who became an international star, was knighted by the Queen, had a fabulous career, and at that time was directing a motion picture on the lot at 20th Century Fox, and was sitting across the room from us. Well, we turned to him and said, "Thank you, Sir Richard, thank you so very much." And he paid no attention at all. And we thought he didn't hear us, so we said it a little louder. "Thank you, Sir Richard. Thank you very much. Very kind of you, sir." No response. Harry Morgan, somebody asked about Harry, who is not to be ignored, stood up. "Thank you, Nicky. Thank you." We were all trying to figure out, I was trying to figure out and as my eyes swept the room coming back to our table, I saw David Ogden Stiers sitting laughing to beat the band. And I thought, so I started trying to quiet the group, and they were still, "Thank you, Sir Richard." I said, "No, it's David. Look at him. Look at him." He was red-faced. He was laughing so hard. And so then the waiter came over. We finally quieted them down. The waiter came over with the check, and on the check, of course, was the desserts. So in trying to find some way to get back at David, I said, "Take the check to Mr. Stiers, please." And he said, "Of course," and walked over there and handed it to him. And I said, "David, take the check, look at it, put it down, scribble it, name on it." Gave it back, got up and walked out. And I thought, "Oh, man, I didn't really mean for him to pay for it. I just wanted to find some way to get back." And so I got up and ran out and caught him in the street. And I said, "David, you didn't have to pay the check. I was just trying to get back at you for humiliating us the way you did." And he said, "Oh, it's okay, Mike. I signed Gary Berghoff's name to it." I thought, "Oh, man, this is never going to end." So Gary wasn't working that day. So I said, I went back to the gang and I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll get to see first thing in the morning. I'll stop Gary. I'll explain it to him. I'll tell him I'll pay for it. Not to worry. It was all a joke." We finished the day's work and we came back the next morning, and Alan and Jamie and Loretta and I were sitting on the set going through our dialogue for the first scene, and in comes Gary Berghoff like his rear end is on fire. Bursts in, goes right up to Jamie and starts shaking his finger in his face and swearing and yelling, "How dare you humiliate me like that? You have no right to use my name. And I was saying, "Gary, whoa, wait a minute." And he turned around and left, and I raced out after him. I said, "Gary, I'm sorry. Look, I meant to get to you early. It was a mistake. Let me explain." He said, "Mike, David made me do that." And I said, "Wait a minute. Now, he doesn't know that I know, right?" And I said, "Okay, don't tell him." And after we finish this scene, we're going to do a scene in the post-op with David and Loretta and me and you. So when you come onto the set, come up to me and do the same thing he did to Jamie." And he said, "Great idea." So he went off and we finished our scene. We went over to the post-op and started to set up. And David was there, and Loretta was there, but looked very innocent. And Loretta was there, and the director and I, and then in comes Gary, and he was just burning again. And he came up to me and he said, "You had no right to use my name. How dare you humiliate me like that, you big so-and-so. You can't." And I said, "Whoa, wait a minute, Gary. Just hold on, man. We got guests on the set. You're embarrassing yourself. Just shut up." "Don't you tell me to shut up, you big lug. I'll take you outside." I said, "You want to step outside?" He said, "Let's go." And off we went, the two of us. And David looked just a little perturbed, watching us leave. And the set was divided from the exit door by a cyclorama, so we went around outside where we couldn't be seen. And the minute we got out there, Gary started pounding on the wall and screaming, and I was smacking my fist into my hand and stomping my boots and yelling. And we were making a hell of a racket, and pretty soon, of course, David came running, and we could hear his boots clomping on the side. He got around the edge of the cyclorama, and I had Gary by the collar, and I lifted him off the ground. It was shaking him, and it was going like this, and screaming. And David ran up saying, "Mike, no, no, Mike, no, stop, Mike, Mike." And I was holding Gary, and I said, "Yeah, what do you want?" And I said, we... And Gary and I started to laugh. And David, I could see the blood draining from his face. He fell to his knees, and he said, "Never again. Never again." And of course, he lied. Thank you very much.